And now, from the CFTK-TV studios, this is Open Connection with your host, Robert Pictou.
Welcome to Open Connection. I'm your host, Robert Pictou. Our show today comes to you from the traditional and unceded territory of the Tsimshian people. Though it's synonymous with women's empowerment, Helen Reddy's I Am Woman was not intended to be just a feminist message. Reddy stated, "It's not just for women. It's a general empowerment song about feeling good about yourself and believing in yourself." On today's Open Connection, we're bringing you highlights of Panel 1 discussion at this year's Nation and Nations Women Gathering.
Amadogos Dawayu Wapswadiwai Lakibu Chimshan Haisa. My English name is Mary Denton. As you mentioned, I'm currently working for Kikatla Enterprises as the Director of Communications. That is not the hat I am wearing when I am here, so I am not speaking on behalf of Kikatla. Do need to be clear on that. So what do? I sit on a number of different community boards, committees and organizations, so I try and got one aunt who always says more brown faces and white spaces. So I really try to bring that cultural lens to different rooms and areas that I work and contribute to, but also with the understanding that a lot of the times ignorance, comes from lack of education. So taking a breath and taking moments not to necessarily bite my tongue, but to educate the room if I see things that are being done that don't, fall under that lens of reconciliation, which is a word that I actually don't want to use very much anymore because I did have an elder say that it implies that two people have done wrong. So when you're reconciling, there was either a friendship before or something that needs to be mended or that wrongs have been done on both sides. So with that lens, just going forward and being able to bring my cultural understanding to the rooms that I'm in.
Before I jump to the introduction, I'd like to just respectfully acknowledge the unceded traditional territory of the Tsimshian people and the traditional keepers of the land. I want to say thank you for allowing me and my family live, work, and play here and study here, actually, because I'm an international student. So I am Mrs. Abidemi Oshinjolu, a supply chain logistics specialist, and I have a background in business management and project management. And out of the box of my career, before that, I'm an entrepreneur. I founded a business during COVID-19. I noticed a vacuum in my community, and I founded a business during then, and it grew. And out of the box of my career, I have passion for community development, community services. Starting earlier in my teenage years, I've been involved in community development. And whenever I just find myself, it just comes to me. I just get involved in the community just like that. And I'm happy to be in this community. Currently, I'm an international student with the Coast Mountain College. I'm taking a 2-year course in business administration.
I'm a success nisam dimgach machdi nani Marlena Joseph Floyd Milagum Skak Wam Niskaye Simla Skikni Wilps Kookhans will Witqui Kinkolith will Witqui E Principert will Jage. So I said, good afternoon. I will tell you about myself. My English name is Marlena Joseph. I come from the Eagle tribe, Leskik. I hail from the House of Kookhans. I reside in Prince Rupert. I live here, but I am from Kinkolith. Who am I? Let me see. I wrote it all down.
Well, we don't want you to miss anything.
I don't want to miss anything, but you know what? When I was writing this down, I had women around me who were empowering me and helping me along the way. Because today, I've never really been on a panel to speak as I am today, and it was just uplifting to hear all these women say things about you, right? I don't know, I was having some toilet talk with my aunt. She was telling me that she always cries when she speaks, and I'm like, oh God, me too. So anyways, I'm gonna try and hold that back. So who am I? I'm a cultural dance leader. So I have been a leader of the Gibmakmakainishka dance leaders here Gibmakmakainishka dancers here in Prince Rupert for the past 20 years. I know. I'm a full-time mother. I'm an entrepreneur, I'm a wife, I'm a daughter, I'm a role model, I'm a knowledge keeper. And I coordinate and assist different events in our community. And I grew up fishing as my first job, which probably a lot of Indigenous women and men here grew up was fishing, so.
Open Connection will be right back after these messages. And now, from the CFTK-TV studios, this is Open Connection with your host, Robert Pictou.
Thank you for staying with us. Founded in 1952, the Christian Labour Association of Canada, or CLAC, is one of the largest independent multi-sector national unions in Canada with over 60,000 members working in a wide range of sectors. Let us return to the conversation as Workplace Wellness Coordinator Miranda O'Crane asked the panelists of when they felt empowered.
Sharing a time where you grew in your career as a leader or someone that was mentoring you or entrepreneurship ways, but you've already kind of given me that a little bit, Marlena, of like, you know, these people have always stood beside you. And can you give me any other examples of when you felt supported, where you felt empowered to continue your entrepreneurship?
So me and my husband own Orca Bay First Aid. It's a emergency transportation vehicle with OFAs. And we do have actually women who work for us. So it's becoming a great industry to see all the women in a construction setting coming forward and showing that empowerment that they have. So that being one of them is growing, and knowing that my business can help these women get into that field to get a bigger, better job. Like we've helped one lady who now has a great job with Trigon here in Prince Rupert, and it was good that we could mentor her to have a better life, you know, and be set for her family to take that.
They kind of go both hand in hand because you're coming over as a student, but you have the entrepreneurship behind you. So where did you get that encouragement and that bravery, really?
Okay, I would say that where I got that from, I would like to answer that first, is surrounding myself with people who think positively of me, trying to be distant from those who criticize me so much, who don't see the growth that I see in myself. So that's where I got that from. And the growth in my, do you want me to go into how?
Yes, please.
Okay, so I just want to share two cases and points where I grew in my career. Going from a field coordinator that's managing like 5 cities, we call them states in my country, but they're called cities here, to managing 4 regions. 4 regions is like managing, a region is like managing a province in my place of work and what I do. And the promotions just kept coming. I didn't know, I don't know what my bosses were saying. They just kept promoting me. And I had to grow into that position, kind of my mental, state, because I didn't want to get overwhelmed. So I had to go into a lot of self-development training personally, and some paid for. And the second case is my entrepreneurship that I started. During COVID, I noticed that there was a vacuum in the community, and parents were struggling to get educational toys for their children because all kids were in front of the screen. Getting those toys in my country, it's like expensive. And I just thought to myself, I'm going to take a calculated risk. So when China opened up the production, because everything was shut down in the world, I took like 70% of my savings and I imported those toys from China. And that made me to be able to make them available at accessible prices. So schools started calling me to bring them in bulk because they didn't even have it. So parents started coming to me that they wanted to partner with me. So they became my distributors. So I was on my 9-to-5 job, and then I was growing my business. And the business is still going today because, my distributors are now my network of partners who are now taking care of the business, even though I'm not there. Being in this room here today, this is a growth room for me, I would say that, because I came in here, I had a lot of things to figure out by myself, and then more international students started coming in and they were calling me to help them. And I think that's why I'm here today. My involvement in the Prince Rupert community of international students. So this is a growth room for me.
So this is one of those questions where I asked my older daughters what they would talk about if they were sharing my story. So like Marlena, it's interesting to hear what other people will come up with about you, because it is hard to sometimes share your story, especially full disclosure, this is my first time speaking to a room of women. I've spoken at a lot of conferences more with industry lenses or sharing, the First Nation side. So I was honestly more intimidated to be talking to a room full of women. Part of that is because as much as we say we grow together and we raise each other up, we don't. Women can be their own worst enemy. And I think that's something that we really need to work on, because we've really been, especially in the corporate setting, pinned against each other. A lot of the times there's only room for one woman to go forward at a time, or there's only room for one thing to happen at a time. So that was something I really wanted to touch on for how and where I got to where I am today. I had my daughters in my oldest in my second year of university. I was only 19. So I immediately was put into, at the time, with the funding I had, if you didn't finish your degree or your year and you had them early, you had to pay back your student loans immediately. So I was stuck moving back in with my mom, not something I talk about often, getting welfare and living on the reserve.
Open Connection will be right back after these messages. And now, from the CFTK-TV studios, this is Open Connection with your host, Robert Pictou.
Welcome back to Open Connection. Stereotypes are preconceived ideas and simplistic images that have a negative influence on the way we see people, interact with them, and treat them. In other words, stereotypes impose limitations on people they target, assign them roles not necessarily suited to them, and make it harder for them to be their true selves. Let us return the conversation as Director of Communications Mary Denton shares how she grappled with stereotypes.
I went from grade 2 to 10. I was one of the only First Nations people in a Dutch Reformed Christian school. So I grew up with that stigma of stereotypes from everyone around me, and I swore I would never be a stereotype. So for me, that was probably, I don't want to say it was the lowest point, but just in regards to stereotypes, that was really hard. And in regards to how people looked at you, they didn't look at you, were automatically looked at as a failure. So that was the beginning of, how am I going to change this? How am I going to get out of it? I've recreated myself so many different times, but always with the strength of knowing that there is space for everybody. And, you might not have all of the same set of skills as the person beside you, but that's okay, because you can work together and you can support each other on those skills. So just really understanding that lens that you don't have to be the exact same as everybody else. As I said, I've had a number of different careers, and some of them were good and some of them weren't. There were spaces where I spent far too much of my energy and my time trying to change things and fix things when the people in leadership were not fostering you or encouraging you. So I think, a good part of knowing how to, of getting to where you are is knowing when to get out, knowing where to go. Marlena talked about it, surrounding yourself with people that support you. I look at where I am today as compared to some more toxic work environments I've been in, and it's amazing how much growth you get when you surround yourself in a place that supports you. So I think that's something really important. I always joke when I talk to other women that are entering new careers and maybe negotiating a new contract, negotiate like a man. How many men get hired for jobs that they are not qualified for? And a woman, if you look statistically, will not even apply if they're missing one thing in the qualifications. So don't be afraid to take those risks and negotiate your job like a man. You want more holiday time? Tell them you want more holiday time. You want more money? Ask for more money, and you will be shocked every time.
Today I'm sitting at my table and there's a very wise woman sitting with me, and she said, sometimes I feel like I don't belong, but I do. And I have to work on that, and I have to move forward with that. And I'm going to take that and I'm going to use that with people in my life. And then even the people in the room. You feel like you might not belong, but you do. You will feel it eventually. So please don't give up. So that is success.
I'll share one quick story from that.
Please.
So 6 years I've been on the college board, a very progressive board with Coast Mountain College here. We've done things as far as our First Nations Council has a vote. We are the only college in the entire province that gives the First Nations Council a vote. Every other board, if they even have them, they're asked to sit at the table and not be given a voice. We did that and told the province we were doing it. The last post-secondary provincial governance meeting I was at, people could not wrap their head around that we had First Nations members on our boards that weren't the First Nations representative, that we were First Nations people in a normal role on a board. They could not wrap their, and that's now. So that whole feeling of not belonging there quite often is projected.
With that, how did you manage your relationships as you were becoming an entrepreneur for yourself? How did you manage it with, you can explain it in any way that you want, like maybe with your partners, being a mother, your careers, or even in your traditional community settings. How did you feel that you were able to continue those relationships and continue to be a strong woman and move up? Abby. Abby, yeah. Sorry, Abby. I didn't mean to yell it like that. I got excited.
Thank you so much for the question. To start with, I'd like to say that at every stage of my life, I have learned to identify what is important, who is important, and where is important at that stage. Like, I'm an international student now. I need to know who are the important people, what is important to me to do so that I can prioritize them. So prioritizing is one of the things that I do to manage, relationship. And then I also do the effective communication thing, because sometimes you're going through a lot of things and the person sitting beside you does not read your mind. So you have to learn to communicate effectively. So I do that a lot. I'm overwhelmed. I talk to my instructors. I talk to my friends. I'm feeling emotionally down. I talk to my spouse. I just let it all out. And also, another thing I do to manage all of this all together is, because I'm a mother and, also, so I spend a lot of time with my family. Right, I manage my family like a business, because I do weekly meetings with my children. We do Thursday night meeting, and we share our family values. I reiterate the family values to them and tell them about the importance of growth and where we're going as a family, why we're here in Canada. If it doesn't work, we have to go back for this reason, so we have to make it work.
Open Connection will be right back after these messages. And now, from the CFTK-TV studios, this is Open Connection with your host, Robert Pictou.
Healthy work-life balance refers to maintaining a harmonious relationship between your work and personal life. It involves consciously managing your time and energy to meet both professional and personal commitments while prioritizing self-care and well-being. In this final segment of Open Connection, Marlena Joseph shares how her partner helped her maintain a good work-life balance.
Well, to be honest, when you first become an entrepreneur, you become so busy that your business has to almost hit rock bottom before it starts to grow. And my husband, raise him up, uplift him a little bit for a bit here, but he was probably one of my rocks growing, because he made sure that we had the family time. My daughter is our biggest inspiration. She's everything to us, and that's when we learned unconditional love was becoming parents. So we made sure to have the growth of growing as a family, going on vacations. He made sure that we had family vacations. The support system of my mother is one of my biggest supports. She is battling cancer for a second time, but she has not once, left my side. She's been helping with our daughter, my grandmother, and my grandfather. My grandfather passed away a few years ago, but he was the one that instilled all the strength in me, because we're a family of females. And I think he kind of treated me like the male, like I could lift heavy things and, I could do those things. So he instilled a lot of strength in me, and I believe he molded me to the person I am today, along with my grandmother as well. But definitely the support system that will help you manage anything. As long as you have that behind you, you can do your career, you can do your parent, you can do your motherhood, you can do your marriage if you have that support system behind you, because it makes everything almost flow, so
Right.
I guess my story, when I learned, because I believe everybody is on their healing journey, no matter what nationality, no matter what age we are all on a healing journey, and we all need that balance of life.
Definitely have to agree with Marlena when it comes to that. Mom guilt is a very real thing, I think, whether you have children or not. I spent years where I don't even know why I thought my husband would be annoyed if I was taking extra hours running in the evening, so I would go and get ready somewhere else and sneak after work. And so it's amazing the amount of guilt we put on ourselves that doesn't even need to be there. So, definitely, as Abby mentioned, that open communication and just without feeling selfish, like I need to move. If I'm sitting all day, my body needs to move. I need to get outside for my mental health, for my marriage, for my children, for all the things. And then putting that time aside, I mean, not just trips with my kids, but trips with my husband where, we are not on our phones and we're not working, and whether it's a weekend hike or camping or skiing or all of the different things that we do, that's one thing that's really saved our marriage through all of our different changes and, things was we had something in common that we could go and do together that had nothing to do with work, and that was outside, harvesting our own food and doing things like that too. It gives you such a sense of accomplishment, and it really brings you back to that cultural connection and the connection with the land that we so often lose when we get stuck in this rat race of thinking that we have to work more to, be better. And the reality is you become burnt out and less productive. So I think really understanding that, setting the boundaries, the priorities, as was mentioned, open communication, the self-care, and self-care is not the bath and candles. It's, it's every part of it, whether it's that how many moms take an extra 10 minutes in their car when they pull into the driveway at home before going in? I don't think I'm the only one. So it's all of those things that we so often feel so guilty for taking, but like realizing that you deserve that time too, and taking it. So, I joke that you need to be a little bit selfish, but it's not even that, even using the word selfish comes from the guilt. So just understanding that if you openly communicate that those are your needs, people are pretty good about reciprocating when they understand where things are coming from. So boundaries for me. And then one phrase that I love, I used to tell people if I got asked to be a volunteer for something or be on another board, or because once you start those, you get noticed and then they want you on all of them, was not that I'm too busy, because then what I found was people were like, oh yeah, you're too busy. Well, I saw you running on the weekend, or how was your holiday? And then you get made feeling guilty for having free time. So I love saying now that I don't want to be busier. And then it's no one's business what I'm doing in the time where I'm not being busier. But just communicates that boundary with them. No, I'm not so busy that I don't have time to breathe. And I think really just understanding the language to use for yourself.
Thank you for joining us for this episode of Open Connection. The greatest distance in the existence of man is not from here to there, but the connection from his mind and heart. If we can conquer that distance, we can soar like an eagle and realize our mystery within. I'm Robert Pictou.